She was born on a night no one remembered with joy. In a small wooden house surrounded by dust, dry wind, and silence, the child cried loudly as if she already knew the world would not be kind to her. Her mother looked away in exhaustion, and her father stood at the door, disappointed, not because the child was weak, but because she was unwanted. From that night onward, pain became her first language, and suffering became her only companion. Her name was Elena, but in her own home, no one used it with love. To her family, she was a burden, a reminder of mistakes, an extra mouth to feed. Every morning began with fear. Fear of her father's angry footsteps. Fear of her mother's cold eyes. Fear of her brother's cruel laughter. She learned very early that silence was safer than words, and invisibility was better than hope. As a child, Elena watched other girls laugh, run, and dream. She watched them hold their mother's hands, feel warmth, and hear bedtime stories. At home, there were no stories, only commands. Clean. Cook. Don't speak. And when she failed, even slightly, punishment followed. Slaps became routine. Bruises became normal. Tears became useless. Her family believed cruelty was discipline. They said pain would make her strong. But pain did not make her strong, it shattered her from the inside. Every beating chipped away a piece of her soul. Every insult told her she was nothing. Slowly, she began to believe them. Years passed, and Elena grew older, but childhood never left her, it stayed trapped inside her, frozen in fear. She worked endlessly, carrying water, cutting wood, cooking meals she was never allowed to enjoy. Even when she fell sick, no one cared. When she cried, she was mocked. When she begged, she was beaten harder. The village knew. Everyone knew. But no one interfered. In that land, family matters were sacred. Even when they were soaked in blood. One evening, after a particularly brutal beating, Elena ran. Her face was swollen, her ribs burned with pain, and her heart felt heavier than her body. She didn't know where she was going. She only knew she could not stay. Barefoot, bleeding, she ran into the wilderness beyond the village, the land people feared, the land whispered about in stories. It was Apache territory. The desert night was merciless. Cold winds cut through her torn clothes. Wolves howled in the distance. Elena collapsed near a dry riverbed, exhausted, ready to die. She whispered a prayer, not to be saved, but to be released. That was when fate shifted. At dawn, the sound of horses broke the silence. Apache warriors rode through the land, alert and watchful. At their center rode an old man with long silver hair, eyes sharp as the eagle's, posture strong despite his age. He was Chief Nantan Lupa, a man respected not just for his strength, but for his wisdom. One of the warriors spotted her. "A girl," he said quietly. The chief raised his hand. The group stopped. He dismounted and walked toward Elena slowly, carefully, as if approaching a wounded animal. He saw the bruises. The scars. The fear frozen in her face even in sleep. "This child has known suffering," the chief said softly. Elena woke in panic, crawling backward, screaming, expecting more pain. She begged them not to hurt her. She begged in broken words, tears streaming down her face. But no one struck her. Instead, a blanket was placed around her shoulders. For the first time in her life, a man looked at her without hatred. The Apache took her to their camp. Some questioned it. She was an outsider. A risk. But the chief silenced them. "The Great Spirit does not place broken souls in our path without reason," he said. Elena expected kindness to vanish like all other illusions in her life. She waited for punishment. For betrayal. For cruelty. But days passed, and none came. She was given food, and no one took it away. She was given water, and no one accused her of stealing. She was given a place to sleep, and no one dragged her out. At night, she cried silently, confused by safety. The Apache women treated her wounds. They did not ask many questions. They did not blame her. They listened. And for the first time, Elena spoke, not loudly, not confidently, but truthfully. Her story poured out in fragments. Each word felt like a wound reopening, but also like healing. Chief Nantan Lupa listened. "You were not weak," he told her one evening by the fire. "You survived. That is strength." Those words changed something inside her. Life in the Apache camp was hard, but it was fair. Work was shared. Respect was earned, not demanded through fear. Elena learned skills: how to gather herbs, how to read the sky, how to ride a horse. Her body grew stronger, but more importantly, her spirit began to breathe. She still had nightmares. Still flinched at sudden movements. But slowly, trust replaced terror. Months passed. Then years. Elena became a woman shaped not by cruelty, but by resilience. The Apache did not see her as broken. They saw her as becoming. The chief treated her like a daughter. He taught her that power was not found in fists, but in dignity. One day, her family came searching. They demanded her return, claiming ownership, claiming rights. They spoke lies, pretending love. Chief Nantan Lupa stood before them. "This woman is under Apache protection," he said calmly. "You lost your right to her the moment you chose cruelty." Her father raised his voice. Her brothers mocked. But the Apache stood firm. Elena stepped forward. For the first time in her life, she did not bow her head. "I am not yours anymore," she said, her voice steady. "You broke me once. I will not allow it again." Her family left in shame. That day, Elena understood freedom. Years later, she would help others like her, lost, abused, forgotten. She became a bridge between worlds. A voice for the voiceless. A survivor who turned pain into purpose. And the Apache chief, watching her stand tall, knew the Great Spirit had been right. She was never meant to be broken forever. She was meant to be rewritten.